But we begin today with the war in Ukraine. A little less than an hour ago, President Biden arriving in Brussels, where he will meet with NATO leaders to discuss additional sanctions and humanitarian aid. Earlier this afternoon, Secretary of State Blinken said the U.S. government has officially determined Russian forces have, in fact, committed war crimes. NewsNation correspondent Kelly Meyer joins us now. So, Kelly, what does this official declaration mean?
Well, Nicole, we heard President Biden call Russian President Vladimir Putin a war criminal just last week. Secretary of State Antony Blinken following suit the day after. Now this official declaration really ratchets up the rhetoric. The administration saying they are going to, quote, use every tool available, including criminal prosecutions. And the International Criminal Court already launched an investigation into allegations of war crimes earlier this month. But it's not even clear if Putin would face trial, even if convicted. And if he never leaves Russia, they can't just go in and get him. This all comes as Biden is beginning his unprecedented trip, traveling to Europe during an active war to meet with U.S. allies in a day of emergency summits from NATO to the G7 to the European Council, all meeting on the response to Russia's ongoing attacks. We're hearing this will be more than just a show of unity. Expect some actions. Biden and European leaders set to announce a new list of sanctions hitting hundreds of Russian lawmakers. Biden is likely to press Europe on its dependence on Russian gas. The U.S. has already sanctioned Russian oil and gas, and Biden is likely to press his European counterparts to do the same. And on troops, NATO is expected to ramp up military forces on the eastern flank, deploying 4 new combat units in Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania, and Slovakia. President Biden could announce the U.S. plans to permanently maintain an increased number of its troops deployed in NATO countries near Ukraine. A senior defense official telling NewsNation they don't have anything on sending additional troops or repositioning ones already there, but it is not off the table. And the group is also expected to warn Russia against using nuclear weapons and chemical weapons, saying the use of chemical weapons would, quote, totally change the nature of this conflict. Today, President Biden was asked about the potential use of chemical weapons in Ukraine.
President, how concerned are you about the threat of chemical warfare right now, that Russia would use chemical weapons? How high is that threat?
I think it's a real threat.
Nicole, a big day for Biden tomorrow, but several questions still stand out here. How will the U.S. and NATO react if Putin uses chemical weapons or if there is a cyber attack? Will these new sanctions make a difference, or will this formal accusation against Russia for war crimes have an impact? A lot weighing on these next few days. Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Kelly, here, the president traveling to an area where war, we know, not raging that far away. So what does it take to keep him safe?
Well, this is something the Secret Service is prepared for. Security will be heightened everywhere. Brussels police are already beefing up security tonight ahead of the emergency summit tomorrow. And Brussels is home to the EU and to NATO. It's frequently the site of summits of world leaders. They're used to events like this. And in the past, presidents have gotten even closer to active war zones, including visits to Kabul and to Baghdad during those conflicts. But when the president is in Poland, you'll probably see the tightest security possible.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.